Alright, it is Sunday. This is going to be the weekly recap from the 16th to the 20th, so last week. And I only had 6 trades. I only traded $2,700 of stock volume, so I did not really trade much yesterday. There weren't really good setups, and then I did trade small on pretty much all of the setups except for one. It's been actually a really long time since I have traded something this small. I guess the last time I was this close was maybe, I guess back here. Yeah, last month. Well, I guess 2 months ago, June the 20th. About that time was the last time I traded this little. And I just made a very tiny $21, 6 trades. My winning percentage was 83%. Just one of the trades were red. Now, it's not too exact. It's not really that impressive because the data is only for 6 trades. So, but in theory, it does show the good fundamentals of a profitable trading, I think, because even though the data is small, my average dollar gain was $4.90, which is just slightly bigger than my average dollar loss, which was just one trade. And then with this winning percentage, that helps it be a very profitable week. In theory, my average percent gain was a little larger than my percent loss, which also helps, and my average dollar position was larger than the one that I did not make money with, and that was because I traded really large here. My average time in the trade was 2 minutes and 23 seconds, so maybe in theory this one that didn't work out, I just cut the losses quickly because it wasn't working. It didn't take very long for me to have to cut losses. All those things put together just leads me to this. I could have done a lot of things differently. I could have gotten a lot better, but at least I did trade small position sizes. My percent gains were not really that good. As you can see, none of these were morning panic bounce plays, which is my favorite setup. These are all new setups, so in theory, I'm just trying to get better at trading those, and I'm also trading small. You know, if the morning panic bounce plays aren't looking that nice, I have to try on other setups, get good at other setups, and I guess that reflects here. There were a few morning panic bounce plays in theory that I could have traded, but it was not looking that nice. So that's pretty much fine. I'm gonna go over these 6 trades one by one, and in theory, in terms of how good the setups were, I got a D, which is fine because I'm trying new setups. They're not really the best setups. Some of them could have been better, some of them could have been worse. As for how I traded, this is a lot better, but again, only 6 trades, so the data isn't perfect, but in theory it all goes into what could be profitably trading. I'm gonna go ahead and go over all of these trades just very quick for this week. Not much to go over, but let's just go ahead and do it. And I did start off the first week, the first day with my largest position size. This was a $1,200 trade position, the 16th DPLS. This is a new 3 ticker long setup. So let's look at DPLS for the 16th. Just a iffy stock, one of those ones that kind of trade all sketchy, those tsunami type stocks. This was the 16th, a little more considerable red day. It had one yesterday. It had a run up from 73 to 15, 156. And then I had this drop that was a bit more significant. 16th is back here, which was, and this is a new setup that I need to really get good at. A lot of these have a gap down. Now this one downtrended a little more, but some of these have a nice gap down, and then it opens, it holds a level, and then it has this nice run. I need to really get good at those. But anyway, this is the 16th, and that was a 3 ticker long setup. I was in at 958, 1193. So 958, 1193. Right here. Was that really my entry? Yep, 958, 1193. So right at this candle, right at the very bottom of this green candle, this thing was having a morning panic. It was looking nice, but this is one of those tsunami type stocks. At least that's what I felt like when I looked at the price action. And because from my last week lesson where I had that 68 something dollar a day loss, trying to get the bottom of these, having paper cuts, and then I try a larger, and then that one still doesn't work, another paper cut, and then I miss the ultimate bottom, or I just don't get executed, my order doesn't get filled. My having that new mindset of the 3 ticker rule, which is a strategy where after 3 green candles that are uptrending, I get in at the next candle, I risk the bottom of the 3rd candle. That was my trade idea here, and I did trade a larger position because they seem to really work, and because you are getting in after the 3rd green candle, there might not be that much room, so you go larger because after 3 candles it's kind of hard for it to, at least from what I've seen, turn around right then and there. Although it happens, you risk the bottom of the 3rd candle and you get in the trade. I did not get stuck here with a paper cut. I didn't get stuck here with a paper cut trying to nail the bottom of the potential morning panic bounce play. Instead, because this is one of these choppy stocks, I waited for 3 green candles. This was the first one, this was the second, here's the 3rd one, and then I went in at 11.93, risking the bottom of the 3rd candle, which is 11.8. And my idea on when to sell is after the 2nd red candle is formed, or if I have to cut losses because it drops below the level. And I've learned from a lot of these things in terms of this kind of setup, is that a lot of the times it will drop right at your risk level. So 1, 2, 3, you know, the risk level is 11.8. It did right here drop to 11.8, and I've learned that this is very common. In fact, again, I've said this before, but in the future, maybe instead of buying the 4th candle right when it opens, maybe I can just put an order at the risk level, and because a lot of them do tend to drop towards that level, I could get executed at a better price. But then I might miss the setup. But if I don't, if I get filled, then I'm in at a great price, and then I risk that level then and there. If it gets below it, I cut the trade. But anyway, again, I was in at 11.93. 1 red candle, 2nd red candle. Did this one drop to the risk level? Seems like it might have. Yeah, I can't really tell on E-Trade. I have it so that it tells me. But anyway, I sold into this green candle because 1 red candle, 2 red candles. Okay, I'm going to sell immediately. Boom, we have that green candle, and I sold into this. My exit was 12.40. So here's the green candle, 12. Was that it? 12, you mean? Oh, okay, yeah, 12.040. So right here, yeah, right about there. So near the top of this green candle, actually, just because the setup just wasn't, you know, working that nicely because of the fact that it had 2 red candles immediately. So I cut the trade then and there, and then it would have broken right here the risk level at 11.8. It never touched VWAP, which is unfortunate, but again, even though this thing is a choppy mess, I did profit from it. I didn't get any losses trading this, no paper cuts, and I think, you know, in the future with more of these tsunami type panic stocks, I can avoid losses and I can continue to trade profitably. That was a good attempt. I mean, considering the fact that it didn't get past VWAP or really uptrend, that's why I put here kinda. You know, that was a good trade in and of itself, and I could have traded easily 20,000 shares, but I didn't. I just traded 10, and you know, that was a trade there. The next one is PBYA, inverse head and shoulders. So let's look at PBYA for the 19th. As you can see, my first one was the 16th. I literally did not trade the 17th and the 18th because they were just looking that bad. Some very crappy stocks. PBYA, the 19th, which is right about here, right about there, the 19th. First, not our first red day, but it was a red day, and now we are up the 20th. So let's go ahead and look at the 19th. Let's highlight the entire day, and that was an inverse head and shoulders. My entry was 1020 13.15, so 1020 13.15. I can already see it, the inverse head and shoulders. 1020 right here, right? 1020. Actually, this candle, so I was kind of late to it. 13.15, so give or take, really the bottom of this candle was my entry here. Why? Inverse head and shoulders, shoulder, head, shoulder. I'm in here. In theory, I'm going to risk, I think, 13, or maybe even risk 131. As you can tell, not the best setup because the volume isn't really there. very illiquid. It still did an inverse head and shoulders, and I sold 1023, 1330, 1023, which was this candle right here. So at least I let a top form, and I sold at 1330. So basically right here is when I sold. So I sold here, I bought here, and it just looked like there was topping action. The volume wasn't looking that nice. I mean, you know, for what it was looking worse, and it did downtrend. I did think that it would turn around and officially do it. You know, maybe it's just a choppy inverse head and shoulders, and it did work out. It went from 13 to 14.7 out of curiosity. If I sold at 14.3, I would have had to have held for a long time, but I just want to see what this will be. That would be an 8% move, so there was range in that setup. And I did trade a small position because it was a liquid, and that's something I can't really do if I trade a larger size. But you know, for what it was, I think at least it was good trading experience, just playing by, you know, the rules and everything like that. You know, I didn't want it to downtrend and then I lose my profits, and I'm already not in at the very best, you know, spot I could be in at this 131 level, I guess. I mean, the range isn't even that nice, but it did get to VWAP eventually, which is a lot better than DPLS, and it got past VWAP too. So not the worst, because again, I can't trade something like that with a larger position size, but I think it was good practice. BILC, this is a listed stock, inverse head and shoulders head buy. So let's look at BILC for the 19th. Right about here, just some choppy degenerate. Oh, was this the last day, the 19th? No, we still had the 20th. What was the day afterwards? Okay, just a little green candle, but you can see the volume, it was at least nice here. Not the best chart, to be honest, but it's just these random degenerate listed stocks. Let's go ahead and look at the 19th, and I guess we'll include pre-market and after hours. And this was an entry I was in at 1033, 388.76, so 1033 was back here. So let's just highlight this section right here. Alright, so 1033 was my entry. Again, this 380, what, 388 level? Yeah, almost 389, basically 389. So I was in right here. What was I thinking? Okay, here's the shoulder, head, and then it's gonna spike, right? And then it's gonna make a shoulder, inverse head and shoulders, but a little more risky. I'm trading what could be the potential head. We did have a big red volume candle, very common with listed stocks that I hate about listed stocks. We had one of these again in the future. It didn't work out. I was trading it very cautiously because it looked like crap in the, you know, the daily chart. There were some big volume, you know, spikes previously, so maybe there are bag holders too, and I had these things in mind. I wanted it to work immediately, and it wasn't working immediately. I sold at 1035, 394, 1035. The top right here, 394 was my sell. It did spike to like 397, but then as it started the downtrend, I sold because I thought this thing would have spiked much nicer. You see, I had a really nice green candle here in theory, and then here, you know, some nice price action, and we were just not really getting that. It seems like maybe $4 was going to be a level of resistance, which it was. So when it didn't work, you know, it wasn't really going as strong as I thought it could be. That's when I sold. It was a good, you know, tiny trade. I could have traded larger being the listed stock, and this was a big volume candle, but you know, I'm just playing it extra safe, especially with listed stocks, because I have less experience with that, although I am trading them a little more frequently so I can get more experience. It was, you know, it wasn't something that worked out. In theory, it could have gotten to VWAP at 413, or maybe even this same level right here at 437. It didn't happen, which is fine. My entry was good. I liked my entry there, and I sold again because of that price action. It did downtrend and try one more time, and then a little fake out right after for to scare any weak-handed shorts, and then it just really hit the bottom there, and that was all it did. Just not a bad trade. I traded it well. I think I was a good, experience. It didn't work out. I could have traded larger there too, but I don't regret that at all. That was a good trade attempt. Just trying to practice setups that I've seen, and in my opinion, work the best with me, at least so far with listed stocks, which is inverse head and shoulders and head and shoulder shorts. So the next trade, RGBP higher day breakout. This is the one that did not work. My only losing trade. And yeah, let's look at RGBP for the 20th. The 20th is right about here. So what happened afterwards? We did get this price action. That was the last day. Yeah, that was Friday. This is the move. Nice breakout, RGBP. Let's look at the 20th. Let's highlight the entire day. Why not? It did have a nice gap up. And this was again higher day breakout, 1031 at 388. So 1031 at 388. Let's just do it from here. 1031 388. So right here was my entry, right at the bottom. Actually, not a bad entry if you ask me. 388. That wasn't really too bad. But what happened was that I think I cut losses because it did get to 385, and that was my risk level. So 385 was my risk level right here, because that was the bottom at the time, 385, and then it cracked it, and I just got out of the trade for that reason. The next minute, 1032. It was a good attempt. It was, like I said right here, it was speculative, and that's right. I got in. And then immediately after I got in, there was like just this big seller on the ask that appeared, and it really cracked this 385 level. That was my like risk level. So when it got to 385 and that big seller is there, I said, all right, well, I'm not gonna wait for a miracle to happen that somebody just buys out that big seller. I think he was selling like 50,000. At least he had like a $50,000 position sell order on the ask there, and it just scared it out, and it did fail eventually. It's still nice. I mean, it still broke past this level at 30, right? 304. But it didn't work here, and that's fine. That was a good attempt, honestly. My last two trades were the same. Yeah, the same setup. It was the same setup. TSOI for the 20th. Let's look at TSOI, if it lets me. Right about here. Very nice breakout. Let me actually zoom out because it looks nicer. Yeah, this was a day right here. Big wick. It's still above the breakout level, but it did have that sketchy wick. This was it. Nice uptrend. Continue the uptrend, and then just some, I guess, some topping action right here, and eventually kind of downtrended, and they try to get back to where it was, but the day ended. Alright, I'm back. I'm not extremely sure where I left it off, but it is having its breakout right here, even though it did not close very strong. It would be kind of sketchy, but in theory this could qualify for a morning panic bounce play starting tomorrow, Monday, but I might be a little cautious with this one. Morning panic bounce plays haven't been working that nice. There was one that offered it, STEV, and it was sketchy because these things are just turning around because of level 2 price action. It's not really offering that much of a range. I'm pretty sure this was it, STEV. Let's try to highlight it. I think this was one of them. I'm not extremely sure. Maybe I got the wrong one. No, this was it. This was one of them, and I guess it just doesn't look nice anymore. Maybe I got confused. STEV, there was another one, BZRW, I think. I don't know. This one was another one, ILUS, which just trades like absolute trash. But anyway, yeah, let's go back and, in theory, again, it could be a morning panic bounce play, but again, this one was a nice setup because for my initial first entry right here was 1042, 1144, so that was right about here, right in the beginning. And you know, my issue here is that had I have actually have risked my level at, you know, 10.4, I would have probably have been in this setup profitably. But the issue is that it just trades all sketchy. You know, it's actually not sketchy. The problem is that it just took too long, and I have like really bad patience holding these setups. I need to learn to hold these longer because they're not like morning panic bounce plays where if it just doesn't uptrend, maybe I'll make a leg down. This is a bit more gradual. A lot of these breakouts are very gradual. In hindsight, it seems very easy, but it's very gradual. You don't know if it's topping out. So because of the fact that it was taking so long here, and I think I said something that the volume was fading, it just got me out of the trade. I sold just 2 minutes later in that same range, just slightly higher than what I sold it, bought it for. Tiny trade position size. I like this one. This was a lot better. I felt a lot better because I traded larger and I felt a lot nicer. It did break out 12.23 at 10.99. So 12.23, 10.99. Right about here, right under 11. I mean, basically 11. And this one, I didn't hold this one very long either. I held it less than the other one, but I don't regret this one. I sold it at 12.25 at 11.16. 12.25. This candle right here, 11.16. So why did I sell? Because I already knew, okay, the breakout was right here in the 10.4s. I'm here, you know, in the 11s, right? It could be the very top. Maybe this is all that is going to run it and is going to downtrend, but you know, let's get in it. I'll go in a lot larger because it is actually a confirmed breakout. Let's just see if this thing will continue. Okay, I'm back again. I don't think I'll have any more things that is gonna make me have to cut the recording and do something. But anyway, so I'm not sure where I left off again here either. But the problem here was that there, you know, again, the breakout is at 10, you know, 10.5-ish, right? And I'm in at 11. Okay, so maybe that's all it can uptrend. And the problem is that there were like these 50, 80,000 share dumps on the bid, and the candle would look nice and strong at its highs, and then boom, right? Big candle, and then it tries again, boom, big candle. So I said, all right, this is some sketchy price action. Maybe this is topping. And it did get a lot lower than my entry. Well, I guess not a lot lower. It got as low as 10.85. You know, somebody was clearly trying to sell a lot of shares, or maybe it was just a lot of people just selling their shares in general. It did eventually kind of hold its level, and then it did this move a little higher low. This would have been a nice entry actually, because this would have been like a confirmed breakout where right here it breaks past above this level. It gets to here, just a little uptrend, but then it drops right at that level and it holds support. That's something I could have been into. And then it did get to 12 from that level right here at 11.25-ish. So that would have been nice. And I think looking now, maybe when it comes to breakouts like this, I could try the 3-ticker rule. So here would have been 1, 2, 3. So I risk the bottom, which is 10.58. And then it kind of holds itself a little uptrend. And then did it drop? Yeah, it dropped. But it didn't drop below my risk level at 10.58. That would have helped me maybe potentially be in a lot more, you know, to hold better in some of these setups. I could try the 3-ticker rule on some of these. Here it would have been sketchy because this one was small, so I probably wouldn't have traded this one. This would have been the only three ticker setup entry that I see. Here would have been another one. 1, 2, 3. I risk the bottom. Of course, it touches the bottom, the risk level. It happens a lot. That would have been something from 95.2 to, I guess, 1 would have been the highest, right? And then after 2 red candles, here was the first one, here was the second one. I take a sell at this candle right here, 99 from, you know, I guess 96-ish. That one would have been too bad. This one doesn't really count because that's not really uptrending. And I don't see another 3-ticker except for here, maybe 1, 2, but this would have been sketchy because it doesn't really uptrend like the middle one. but that could have been maybe another entry there. I like the 3 ticker rule setup. Maybe I could have considered it with breakouts. Maybe that will help me hold a lot better. So that's what I got in mind, and that's all I got. This week, I'm going to be trying larger size on morning panic bounce plays if they look nice. Some of them, they just turn around on level 2 price action. They don't like try to form a range at the bottom, so maybe I need to get better at that, or I'll just have to trade smaller for that reason. That could be something I can continue trying. With that, again, they're not really trading the way I would like them to, so I need to adjust. Morning panic bounce plays, just didn't really happen. Didn't trade any of them this last week, and maybe just try larger size in general. Stay away from low volume setups, and just have a lot of things to really get better at. Not really that bad. Again, all of these stats were really helpful, even with this small amount of trades. I didn't do anything crazy or something dumb like that. So I just have to keep working at it, and God willing, I can just keep getting better, putting in more effort, just being a part of the market, and just continuing to try. I hope we have some good setups this week.